Monday, November the 21st, 2016, 2 p.m. in council chambers. So I'll call the meeting to order, and first up is the adoption of some minutes, the Committee of the Whole minutes from November the 7th, 2016, and the regular open minutes of November the 7th, 2016. Could I have a motion, please, to Councillor Campbell, Councillor Youngberg. All in favor of approving those? Thank you, adopting those. And next is business arising from prior minutes. And I'm going to ask Senior Planner Ms. Huang to give us the results of a WIBIT survey that was from the WIBIT inflatable park proposals that was brought forward this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Over the past few months, the town has received a few inquiries from business operators who are interested in establishing a WIBIT inflatable water park in Osoyoos. During the October 3rd, 2016 in-camera meeting, Council narrowed the list of potential locations for a WIBIT water park to Legion Beach and Cottonwood Park. Prior to making a decision, Planning and Development Services was directed to undertake some level of community consultation. Therefore, staff prepared a survey questionnaire via SurveyMonkey, and hard copies were also made available in order to gather community feedback. The survey was advertised in the Osoyoos Times for 2 consecutive weeks and was open from October 11th to the 28th of 2016. Following a discussion and review of the survey results at the November 21st, 2016 in-camera meeting, Council made a motion to release the survey results to the public. To provide an overview, the town received a total of 249 responses, and this comprised of 239 online responses and 10 hard copy responses during this survey period, although some respondents did not provide an answer to every question. The following sections offer more details based on the questions that were posed. All of the individual responses, including the respondents' written comments, are also provided in attachment 2. The first question that was asked was, how supportive are you with the proposed establishment of a WIBIT water park in Osoyoos? And based on the responses, it appears that the majority of respondents are either supportive or strongly supportive, and this is a combined of 79.4% of having a WIBIT water park in town. There were a few respondents who are neutral and 13.7% who are not supportive. The second question was, do you prefer a WIBIT water park to be located at Legion Beach or Cottonwood Park? And for Legion Beach, there were 36.9% respondents who selected this as their choice, and 30.5% selected Cottonwood Park. 27.3% had no preference, and there were 5.2% who did not provide a response. And the following table also provides a further breakdown of the results. In addition to the responses provided above, there were approximately 11 respondents who suggested Jarrow Park as a more ideal location, and 2 respondents who suggested Lions Park as an alternative site in their comments. Some respondents did not prefer a WIBIT water park at either of the proposed locations, so that is Legion Beach or Cottonwood Park. It should be noted that despite selecting Legion Beach as the preferred location, one respondent commented that the water park should be at neither location. Similarly, 8 respondents who selected no preference actually appear to not prefer a water park at any of the locations. Question number 3 was, do you have any additional comments in relation to the WIBIT water park proposal? Approximately 127 respondents provided additional comments, all of which are summarized in attachment 2. Question number 4, what is the postal code of your current place of residence? More details are provided in attachment 2. However, it appears that many of the respondents are currently residing in Osoyoos and the surrounding electoral area A. There are some people who are living in other areas, such as Oliver, Penticton, Summerland, Kelowna, Kamloops, the Lower Mainland, Alberta, and Washington. In summary, Respondents offered a diverse range of, although sometimes competing, comments. Reasons given for preferring Legion Beach over Cottonwood Park include better accessibility to downtown and the splash park, calmer waters in the bay, deeper water depths from a safety perspective, more green space for families and picnics, not being close to a pub, and not impeding with weddings that take place at the latter. On the other hand, some of the reasons given for favoring Cottonwood Park over Legion Beach include closer access to accommodations and food services, better parking, cleaner waters, easier supervision for parents due to shallower water depths, keeping the latter location as a quieter dock beach area, and the presence of an existing splash park at the latter. However, parking and traffic seem to be a common general concern brought up for both locations. And respondents have also mentioned about ensuring that a Whibbit water park remains affordable to users, including families. In terms of implications for the community, a Whibbit water park could be an asset for Osoyoos as an additional attraction for visitors and residents. However, both advantages and disadvantages should be considered. Organizationally, if Council wishes to move ahead with a request for proposals, staff and the Waterfront Steering Committee will work on preparing an RFP document, including a set of evaluation criteria such as the experience of the company and management staff, equipment and operation, the mitigation of environmental impacts, safety and security measures, as well as financial being the least value. In order to facilitate a Whibbit water park, a subsequent amendment to the town's foreshore and lake zoning bylaw, which includes a public hearing process, will also be required. In terms of budget, since an application would need to be submitted to the province for converting a specific water area to commercial use to accommodate a Whibbit water park, the successful proponent should be responsible for the commercial crown lease charge as well as any BC assessment taxes. And the town should also establish a lease rate for the use of municipal land. Significant dates. One of the interested business operators expressed a preferred starting season of summer 2017. However, the timing would be dependent on various factors, such as the preparation of an RFP, obtaining approvals from the province, as well as the outcome of the water zoning process. In terms of sustainability, following an RFP process, the successful proponent would also be required to receive authorization from the province, and this includes a Section 11 approval under the Water Sustainability Act for changes in and about the stream.
Thank you very much. This report was brought forth this morning at our in-camera meeting, and at that time we decided to ask Ms. Wong to come back and explain it this afternoon. And there were two motions that were brought out of. There was a resolution to bring them out of the closed meeting. One, motion IC 231/16, moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor King, that the results of the Whibbit survey and motion 230/16 be released to the public at the November 21st regular open meeting, and that was carried. And motion 230/16, moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Youngberg, that Council proceed with a request for proposal for the establishment of a Whibbit water park at Legion Beach, and that was carried as well. So thank you very much for coming back and giving us that upgrade on it. Thank you very much. And so now I need a motion, please, that the motion IC 230 and 231 be received into the regular open meeting. Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. Now do we have to go back and approve the agenda? Okay. So now the agenda needs to be approved as adjusted, correct? No, just approve. Okay. We added this, and now I'm not sure. All right, fair enough. So we have to approve the agenda. Thank you. Councillor Youngberg, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you, Ms. Wong. Introduction of late items. There's nothing there. No. And delegations. No. And next is Water District 8 and 9. And that would be to report on expenditures from accounts payable for water councillors and council approval, and Water District cash requirements to November the 21st, 2016 are in the amount of $60,238.35 for council approval. Councillor Murr?
Well, I move, but I'd like to, they will move it and I'll.
You'll move this, and Councillor Ray second it. Did you need to speak to it, or you're okay?
No, I need to speak to it.
Go ahead.
Can I just,
Yeah.
I just got an update.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, so the progressive waste was coded incorrectly. It should not have gone to the water district. I suggest that the water councillors do not approve this amount, and it will be corrected at the next meeting. So an approval of the expenditures except for the 23,000 from progressive waste.
So we're going to reduce this amount by 23,000.
Somewhat.
Am I correct, or would you like to?
That's right.
So first of all, we're going to not approve this motion, and then we're going to have an adjustment?
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
okay.
I would suggest that the expenses be approved, but not including the ones for progressive waste.
Are you
Yes.
okay with that?
Yes.
Thank you. And you're all right with that? All in favor? Thank you. So that will be brought back to the next meeting. Thank you for catching that.
My pleasure.
That was a test.
Yes, that was a test for sure. Okay. Next is the Okanagan Basin Board Report from November 2016. And I was at this meeting, and there's just a couple of things that I would like to point out here. One is that Bob McDonald, CBC's Bob McDonald, is coming to speak on November the 29th in Kelowna, but he's also speaking on November the 28th in Penticton. And apparently he was here a couple of years ago and award-winning host of Quirks and Quarks. So be a very interesting thing to go to if you have the ability to do that. The other thing is that that you will notice up here that the Okanagan Basin Water Board has received $50,000 to continue groundwater research. And what they're looking at, actually in Mission Creek, they're looking at whether groundwater and might be an interaction with surface water. So it's kind of an interesting concept because they really don't know. If you reduce the groundwater, does the surface water get adjusted as well? So they're looking into this long-term planning for water issues in the South Okanagan. And the budget came up, and there's quite a few don't move a muscle and make water work were obviously very big projects that the Okanagan Basin Water Board is looking at. So there's another meeting this month, next week. So do we need to have someone move that be adopted? Sorry. That be accepted, that received and filed. Thank you. Councillor King, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just see there's an opportunity for some funding on the third paragraph there, and I was just wondering if the town's looked at that opportunity.
Well, we received the information, but we haven't
Had a chance yet?
haven't had a chance to consider any projects yet.
Okay, well, just
And that amount is spread out through the entire,
I
all the
realize
regional
that,
districts and the, yeah.
But
So
something to
we
look
did
into.
get something, I think, from OBWB a couple of years ago. Yeah. So there are options,
So we-
absolutely.
we will be looking into that then? Is that right?
Yeah, we look at all grant
Okay,
opportunities
thank
to
you.
see if there's enough,
Thank you.
if there's something we're doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next item on the list,
Still need the motion to receive this information.
I'm sorry, I thought we said that. Okay, we did, but we just didn't vote on it? Okay. Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg, all in favor. Thank you. Next is the cemetery bylaw. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you. The town of Osoyoos operates the Osoyoos Lakeview Cemetery under Bylaw 1319. On the 16th of August 2016, Consumer Protection BC conducted a review of the town's cemetery bylaw and facility. This organization is the regulatory authority responsible for the administration and enforcement of the Business Practices and Consumer Protection Act, the Cremation, Interment, and Funeral Services Act, and the Cremation, Interment, Funeral Services Regulations. From the review conducted, a number of recommendations were made. Bylaw 1325-2016 received first three readings on November 7th, 2016. In terms of an overview, all attention items have been addressed and include the following. Schedule B, the fee schedule has been posted on the main floor of the public display. 2, schedule forms were updated with current legislation. 3, the town's cemetery license has been changed from Osoyoos Cemetery to Osoyoos Lakeview Cemetery to be consistent with the signage at the cemetery. 4, the town's business address has been added to Schedule B. And 5, the care rate for adult grave space has been increased to $154, which is 25% of the fee for an adult grave space. Cemetery Bylaw 1325-2016 is being brought forward for Council's consideration. This bylaw included all the recommendations from the Consumer Protection BC and includes rates, as mentioned before, where the care rate has been changed to $154. Housekeeping changes, changes to the name. Section 3.7 was added, 4.7 was updated, 6.3 memorials was modified, Schedule C was updated. These changes were all reviewed and approved by the operational services. In terms of implications, the community ensures users of the cemetery pay for this services, and it is not funded through taxation. No organizational, no budget. Significant dates. New bylaw would take effect once bylaw is adopted. Sustainability to ensure financial sustainability of the Osoyoos Lakeview Cemetery. 3 options are presented. 1, to adopt Cemetery Bylaw 1325-2016. 2, to make further amendments to Bylaw 1325-2016. 3, to maintain Bylaw 1319-2016. Recommendations is option 1. Making these changes to the town cemetery bylaw keeps the town in compliance with Consumer Protection BC.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCorduff. I'll move to adopt Cemetery Bylaw 1325-2016.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Youngberg. We have been through this before, so this is just the final stage, the adoption. All in favor? Thank you very much. Next is the Animal Control Bylaw. Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. At the November 7th, 2016 regular open meeting, Council gave 3 readings to Animal Control and Licensing Bylaw number 1316-2016. This bylaw is now being brought forward for final adoption. This bylaw amalgamates the previous cat control bylaw into the animal control bylaw. Other significant changes from the previous bylaws include the reduction of number of dogs permitted per residence from 3 to 2, although this will be grandfathered, stricter regulations for dangerous or vicious dogs, and regulates other animals, including exotic animals. It also provides for clearer regulations on care and control of dogs, including barking. This bylaw is now being presented for adoption. For implications on the community, improved bylaw that amalgamates the dog and cat bylaws and provides regulation on other animals within the town. Organizationally, enforcement of the bylaw. There are no budget implications and no significant dates. And sustainability to provide a bylaw that regulates all domesticated and exotic animals in town. The options are that Animal Control and Licensing Bylaw number 1316-2016 be adopted, that it be forwarded back to staff for further review, or 3, that it be abandoned, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you very much. Council, how do you, Councillor King?
Yeah, option 1, the animal
Move the
control. Yeah.
Move the adoption of this bylaw. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you very much. We've been through this a few times. We appreciate you making the changes and making sure that it fits with the town of Osoyoos, and let's hope that it it works a little bit better. I know that one of the things is barking dogs, so that seems to be better addressed in here. Thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you. Next is the appointments to the RDOS and Okanagan Library. Ms. Van Vienna.
Thank you. Council must appoint a representative as well as an alternate to the Regional District of Okanagan's Milkming Board and the Okanagan Regional Library Board. Both the RDOS Board and ORLB require representation from the town of Osoyoos. In the case that the appointed representative is unable to attend, an alternate must be appointed to attend in their place. Both board appointments require a council resolution. Recommended resolutions are attached with council required to fill in the names of those to be appointed. Implications to the community: representation of taxpayers' interests on the boards. No impacts for the organizationally or budget covered by under expenses. Sustainability: a voice on decisions that could impact Osoyoos. The options, and there's just basically two resolutions here, and it should be done in two separate resolutions, and that the appointment to the RDOS Board and the alternate, and then the appointment to the Okanagan Regional Library Board and that alternate.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
I'd like to move Mayor McCordoff be appointed to the Regional District Okanagan Similkameen Board, and that Councillor Rhodes as the alternate.
Thank you. Is there someone who would like to second that? Thank you. Councillor Youngberg. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have Councillor King, would you make the motion, the other motion, please?
I forget the names, actually.
Oh, I'll do it if you want.
I think it's because both of you are on there, so that's why I asked Councillor King to do it.
Councillor Youngberg, and the alternate is
Councillor Campbell. So that the Okanagan Regional Library Board would be Councillor Youngberg would be appointed, and the alternate is Councillor Campbell.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Should I second that because it includes both of them, or does it matter? Okay.
It doesn't matter, but
Okay.
the mayor can second a motion if you
I'll
wish.
second the motion then. So all in favor? Thank you very much. Next is the Desert Park Exhibition Society license.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the October 3rd meeting of Council, staff presented a number of items that needed to be included in the renewal of the license of occupation. We also met with the Desert Park Exhibition Society to discuss these items and to get feedback from them. On October 24th, the Director of Community Services, the Director of Operations, and the CAO met with the Desert Park Exhibition Society to discuss a number of items that needed to be addressed in the renewal of the agreement. In summary, these items included RV parking, the removal of manure, the logbook, puncture vine maintenance, building improvements, special events, excavation processes, and harrowing the track. We agreed on a number of these items. One item in particular centered on the noise that is created from the water truck when the track is being harrowed. This year, we received a written complaint about the truck that is used for this process. They do this very early in the morning, and according to our Good Neighbor bylaw, nothing should be operated until 8 a.m. and nothing past 9 p.m. The water truck is an old diesel and is very noisy. They need to harrow the track this early to accommodate the jockeys when they are training. The board has asked for an exemption, excluding them from the Good Neighbor bylaw in terms of the noise created. Without the exemption, the society feels they will not be able to operate the winter training program, which is a major source of funding for them. Staff have created a draft document and had included all of the items that were discussed and agreed upon, with the exception of the Good Neighbor bylaw noise exemption. If the society took some kind of action to deal with the noise that is created from the diesel truck, or found another way to water the track that is not as noisy, it would go a long way, especially if we receive complaints. In terms of implications for the community, members of the community may continue to complain if the bylaw is not followed, and staff would have no justification to enforce the bylaw. Organizational, staff assisting with the renewal of the license of occupation. Significant dates, the license of occupation expires November 28th. And in terms of options, for council to direct staff to renew the lease as it is presented without providing an exception to the Good Neighbor bylaw. For council to make an exception for noise within the Good Neighbor bylaw and allow the Desert Park Exhibition Society to herald the track before 8 a.m. during the winter months. Or option number 3, for council not to renew this agreement at this time. And the option that's recommended is number 1. Making an exemption to the Good Neighbor bylaw may not be feasible. The area in question is considered a residential area, and it does fall under the Good Neighbor bylaw. There has been other items brought up by the society, like the golf course cutting the grass or the town crew cutting the grass at Desert Park, that may at times fall outside the Good Neighbor bylaw time constraints. However, the issue is the noise that is created when these actions are performed, and if we receive complaints about the noise, then we have to take action.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mayor McCorduff. I'm not at all comfortable with providing the exception for the Good Neighbor bylaw. Having said that, I'd like to move option number 1.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? I will second that. And did you want to speak to it?
I think I just did.
Yeah,
I think
you did.
Everything else is acceptable, but in no way would I be comfortable.
I'd
with
like
that.
to speak to it as well then. I've looked at this in some detail. The concern is apparently, from checking with Mr. Davis, that the water truck, which is a diesel, needs to groom the track, and I believe it's in February, March, and April, when the horses are there for spring training, and there is baseball or softball the night before, so they can't do it then, and so it has to be done early in the morning. 4:40 in February seems like an awfully early time, but maybe it works. I think we need to encourage the Desert Park Society to have a look at another way of watering the track rather than using this old diesel truck, which is what the problem is. So I'm just wondering if we could suggest to them that I don't know, do something else, but the diesel truck seems to be causing the problems. That's what it says, the noise. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll speak against this motion. I think without watering the truck, there's no way they can actually train horses. My understanding, they've been running for 4 years, and they've only had one complaint. I don't think that's unrealistic as one complaint. I do concur, though, 4:40 does seem a little early. I thought they didn't really start till about 5:30, 6 o'clock, which again would be before 8 o'clock, but without the water truck. Maybe they could look at changing the muffler on it as one of the options. I don't know if that's been discussed or if there was any feedback on that. And I think that would substantially alleviate the noise to quite a bit extent.
Well, if your argument is that there was only one complaint, why would we then make an exemption?
Councillor Youngberg.
Yeah, I'll speak against the option, and in our response to Councillor Campbell's question, there's never been a reason to provide an exception because there's never been any complaints. So with one complaint, that's going to jeopardize the operation of the entire society, to me seems just a little bit questionable. I think there should be more discussion regarding the possibilities of finding a different method or repairing the truck to the point of where the noise compares to a lawnmower such as the golf course lawnmower or something similar to Public Works. I think there has to be more consideration from council given to the society. There's two things that come to my mind when we're discussing exceptions is the fact that they generate about $2.5 million of revenue of which I can provide in a submission, and it is being worked on at the moment to council so that council can be a little more comfortable in the respect that the society comprises of 5 to 7 people who work unpaid, raking, painting, barn renovation, the whole thing, and the only way they can possibly do that is by the support of the trainers for the winter season. And if this exception isn't considered to be something we can work with, maybe different hours, assisting them in trying to repair the truck. Public Works has got mechanics that could possibly look at it and assist this society in moving forward instead of trying to put a roadblock in front of them so they can't move forward. Because that is the situation as it is now, which I think they have made it quite clear to the members that attended their meeting. So I'm speaking against the
So I'm incredibly confused as to you're speaking against the motion while providing a list of potential solutions to the potentially one complaint that's come through. So what we're basically saying is that an organization has the right to move forward no matter the effect it has on the general public with an existing bylaw. We just established that times can be changed, equipment can be changed, alternatives can be made. Why would we then be telling the community that this project is more important than, I guess, than them having the peace of mind of having this bylaw? I'm confused.
Can I just say something then, Mr. Romanko? And we certainly will have more time, but I do believe that what the motion says is that we are absolutely comfortable with providing the new lease with the exception of the Good Neighbor bylaw, and that bylaw is legally what we have to live by. So if we could either, if necessary, change the bylaw, or we could try and find a solution dealing with the noise, which is the only issue, but giving them the lease without giving them an exception to the Good Neighbor bylaw. That's the way I see it, but Mr. Romanko.
Yes, and that's kind of where I was going relative to this situation. First of all, you would have to make an amendment to the bylaw with a notwithstanding clause giving them, an exemption from the bylaw. I think there are other things that we can do. We did make suggestions at the meeting to the organization. They did not seem to be very open to those particular suggestions. But it's still a work in progress, and it's not as if we've had an inordinate number of complaints. And when we discussed this issue with them, it was like, let's work with this, trying to maintain decrease the noise level, because there is a dissatisfaction. Be it only one, there's probably other people who are dissatisfied, but certainly we got one written complaint. So that it's not a reason, I guess, from an administrative perspective, to provide an exemption from a very important bylaw. Specifically, I live across from the golf course, and 6 o'clock in the morning, they're cutting grass. I shut my window. And in this particular case, this particular individual was complaining about the fact that they could not sleep with their window open. And that's my sense of the level of complaint here. So we did bring it to their attention that it could be a growing issue. Let's work on it. They responded with the request for an exemption, which I think is unreasonable in this situation.
Well, I don't think legally we can do it without.
Well, you can, but you have to go through. You have to amend the bylaw.
Yeah. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess in what you're telling me, the golf course can actually cut the grass before 8 o'clock, and their trucks are running.
I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that's what they do.
And exactly. So if you had complaints there, the golf course could get shut down.
Well, no. I think the bottom line is people bought their homes. The golf course was there. The desert park was there, and I think there's a degree of tolerance. Mm-hmm. There may be other opportunities for the golf course to do something different, but there haven't been complaints. And in this case, that to me, this is kind of an overreaction to sitting down with a group and saying, look, we've had a complaint, can we work on it so that we can eliminate this issue? And the route that they have chosen is probably the one which is the least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then would there be an opportunity to possibly, if this happened to get table this to the 5th, well, there could be some open dialogue with the committee to see if they're...
They've done that already.
I know, but I'm just saying maybe to talk to them again.
One discussion was held.
So, okay.
Councillor
I think
Campbell.
I have to look at everything we do here and say that if a resident approached me and said, you made this change, what was the reason for making it? For me to explain to them that because people volunteered and spent lots of time working within an organization, that they should have the right to have an exemption from a bylaw isn't an answer that I'd ever be comfortable making. I think it's also important that we always separate what we've been involved in and what our passions are within different aspects of the community when we're making decisions for everybody and all residents. And I think that's important. And I think if we were talking about any other type of business or organization asking for this exemption, I don't know that we'd be as split as we are now. So I think we always have to look at things that way.
I understand all of what we've heard. Councillor Youngberg, did you have something else? I'd rather see a motion that says that we will not provide an exemption to this, but we will be happy to talk with them and see if we cannot come up with a solution that works for all of us, rather than, but I am definitely against saying that we should give them an exemption in the Good Neighbor bylaw. I think that will just cause a ton of more concerns from anybody in the town who looks and says, why are you doing this? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, it just becomes a real question in my mind that we receive one complaint, and I think that park has been running for something like 40 years, and over one complaint, we are going to try and change the 3-month operation of the society, and we're changing the operation because they need to be out on the track by 5:30 to 6 o'clock during the winter months in order to provide winter training. And yes, we know it's the sound of the truck, and we are going to, I think that we can suggest to them that they should try to repair the truck and make it less noisy. However, by putting in the lease that they have to live by the Good Neighbor bylaw, and 1 year down the road, I think there was a mention at the meeting from what was repeated to me, that if they do go ahead, they will be fined.
There's a lot of confusion here. There's nothing in the bylaw that states that they have to abide by the bylaw. It's just saying that there's not going to be an exemption in it. There's nothing in that lease that says they have to abide by it. One. And two, nobody's saying that they can't operate their equipment. So, and like you said, there was one complaint. So I think all we're saying is they're not exempt from what everybody else has to abide by.
Okay, I guess.
But they don't.
I need to get.
Other people don't, so that's the
Okay.
discussion. But anyways.
Mr.
That's not an
Manko,
argument.
can
Well,
you make a suggestion?
Again, I go back to the meeting, and the discussion in around the noise was, we've had a complaint. Let's try and find some alternatives to resolve this. Because there may be future complaints. If you don't, that down the road there could be some penalties invoked. But again, before we get there is a long road to hoe before we'd have to sit down and take a look at the impacts. Is it one complaint, 2 complaints? Is a neighborhood upset? Those types of things. And I think as I mentioned before, what the reaction is, well, just exempt us and it's not a problem. As opposed to seeking other solutions or waiting to see if there's any type of real problem. Because right now, in my mind, one complaint is not a real problem.
No, that person,
even 2 complaints is not a real
problem. That person
problem.
could move tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we can never see a complaint again. I mean,
But, so the fact is but they're asking us for an exemption, and that's what we're saying, that we don't feel that is the correct way to go. We think that, or I think that there should be a way to deal with the noise but we're not giving an exemption, like we're not giving an exemption to anybody else. I mean, we're not giving it to the golf course. They may be in the same boat, although they don't have the same problem with noise. So that may be the difference there. Councillor King?
Maybe Janet could help me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the Good Neighbor bylaw, do you know the formula? Do they get a notice if they're doing something outside of the Good Neighbor bylaw, or do they get a fine
Gerald's got
first?
a copy
No,
of it.
we usually educate people first before we start with the fines. So if it's a noise
Right.
problem, then we give them a copy of the bylaw and educate them of what the bylaw says. If the noise continues, then we take noise logs from the neighboring property owners that are affected by the noise. And then once we have those noise logs, then we take action.
So would that be like a second and third complaint, or just off
It
the
could
first
be,
one?
it could be just one person, but it depends on how often
Okay.
that noise
Okay.
occurs. So
Okay.
if that person is getting noise, for 1 hour
every day.
straight at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
or if you get 2 or 3 people that are putting it in, that's, every 5 minutes, every 2 hours or whatever, yeah.
Councillor, yes.
Isn't there a way that we can, reword the options to provide the opportunity for them to come forth with some recommendations of how they can continue with watering the track and possibly repairing the track? Is there not a way we can word it? Because as it stands right now, the society has indicated that if there's not an exception or an exemption, they feel they're in a legal position, a violation, and they will not proceed. So that's what the response is, because they feel that if there was no leniency given to the 8 a.m., that they would be in violation, and they are not going to work in violation with the town. They had thought that they were doing everything within the realm of understanding, according to the lease, etc., until your meeting with Director Davies. And they then were aware that this is an issue. However, they are very much going against the bylaw.
We understand that. I think we're trying to come up with some kind of a compromise here, but to my mind, it's not giving an exemption to a bylaw that we have. I think we need to look at something else. Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mayor McCarthy. So with all due respect to my fellow councillors, would we be having this debate if we were talking about Jane Doe's landscaping company down the road?
Yes.
Or is this because this is the Desert Park Society?
I will answer that.
Yes.
Not as far as I'm concerned. It applies to any organization that would come to us. I just have a real issue with going to any business or any society or organization with a one complaint from the community.
Nobody's
after
doing that.
Years, Pardon me?
Nobody's doing anything except saying that they're not exempt from a bylaw. Nobody's
That's
putting any
right.
extra.
Yeah.
I have just explained to you how they are
Yeah.
going to react.
Well, we
They are
can't
not
control
going
that.
to continue operation if, in fact, there is no consideration with the time frame.
Well, it's unfortunate that rather than look for some solutions to one complaint, they would cease operations without an
Yes.
exemption. That seems like a pretty hard line to take for something like this.
This becomes a dispute, I think, because I never said they aren't going to work towards trying to work within the realms.
You just did.
They
Yep.
They
No.
want to work within correcting the truck. They cannot afford to go and buy another truck and water the track. So all I asked for was the rewording of the option, which would give them permission to look for a different option and come back to us.
They have
with
that
a
option.
solution.
They have that option now.
They
can
still
look
do.
for
They have
whatever
it.
solutions
Yeah.
they want. So by exempting them from this bylaw, they could bring in machinery that's 10 times as loud 6 months down the road and be exempt from this bylaw.
Yeah.
And anybody that lives in the area, so be it.
And that's not what
Why
we
would we
want.
open the door?
That's not what they're intending to do.
I
we
understand
don't
that,
know.
but when you make an you make a bylaw change for an exemption, you open that door whether you know what's going to walk through it or not. You've still opened that door.
This is obviously a difficult issue to deal with. My thinking is that with four of us, that whatever option comes out, it's not going to pass. Is there another way of dealing with this, Mr. Emenko? Or should we go through
You got to
the
vote
vote?
for the resolution on the floor.
Yes, we do. We could do that and then see what comes next. Does that?
You can vote on it.
Sorry, I only heard the answer to my question from one of the councillors, which was, if we were talking about any other business aside from the Desert Park Society, would we be having this debate?
I believe we would, Mike.
Okay.
So this could go on for a while. There's just 4 of us here. Could you please read the resolution again, or the option, please, Mrs. Wilson?
That council directs staff to renew the lease with the Desert Park Exhibition Society as presented without providing an exception to the Good Neighbor bylaw, and that the town signing authorities be authorized to sign the lease.
Okay, thank you. So I think we've had it moved and seconded. All in favor of option 1? Against? Okay, so that does not pass. So what is the next option that we have?
I think the next option would be for a member of council to put a resolution on a table that reflects the thinking that they have.
Are you going to?
Yeah, I'd
do
like
that?
to move for council not to renew this agreement at this time.
That council.
Not to renew this agreement at this time.
So that would be option 3.
Correct.
I'm not sure that I can.
Uh,
But, well, maybe I'll second it anyway, just to keep it on the table,
I'd like
so
to
I will
speak to it.
second it.
I'd like to speak to
Go
it.
ahead,
So,
sure.
I'm baffled that we're willing to not put through a new agreement because we're not willing to give an exemption, and for the reasons being that the organization sees no other way to get through this other than to cease operations completely. When I've heard from our CAO, I've heard from 2 other councillors about some potential things to look at, work on, and work through. There's no way I'm going to put the public concern beneath that of an organization who's unwilling to work within the confines of a bylaw. And if that being the case, I don't think an agreement, we can come to an agreement on a renewal if the only way to do that is to allow them to make as much noise as they want by opening the door with this exemption. Because make no mistake, by exempting them from this particular bylaw, we're no longer talking about one piece of equipment that operates in the morning. It means if new equipment was brought in, if work had to be done, anything could happen if they wanted to bring in hard rock concerts every day of the week. We've now opened the door that this organization is exempt from a bylaw that's there for the greater good of our community and its residents. I don't understand how any agreement can be made with that exemption, nor would I ever support one.
Councillor King.
Just a question to Mr. Davis. If we were to not sign this agreement at this time, could we bring it back in 2 weeks, or is there a timeline?
The actual agreement, if it expires, we can bring back. That's not that big of an issue, but we can bring that back. Yep.
So I don't know. I could support the idea of not renewing the agreement at this time and bringing it back in 2 weeks for further discussion, something along those lines.
Yes, yes.
Director Davies, when does the actual lease expire?
28th of
November 28th.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the motion is that we not renew the agreement at this time. It's been moved and seconded. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That was accepted. So do you need us to, what do you suggest we do?
Well, I suggest that, we'll go back to the Desert Society and, basically pass on the message that was, discussed here.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a misunderstanding about, from the society's perspective, about how large an issue it is to exempt anybody from a community bylaw without seeking some operational, methods to deal with, with their noise. And again, I think it's maybe a little bit of a overreaction relative to, we have, it's not a big complaint, and I think that's what we have to tell them, but it's something that we have to be aware of and always, if there's an opportunity to decrease the noise, that's what should be done.
So could we leave it that you and Mr. Davis and will have a look at this again and come back with something in 2 weeks? Does that?
Do you need a
Councillor King.
resolution to bring this back in 2 weeks?
No,
because
because we've just
their
turned
first
it down.
knee reaction is, well, we're not signing the agreement. Then you're just going to say, I quit, and I wouldn't want that to happen.
Well, I think there's some people with a lot of investment there, and if they want to continue, they will continue by seeking solutions.
Yes.
That's right. But at least it gives them the option.
Yeah.
Plus, that's open
Yeah.
dialogue.
Thank you. I'd just like to note my discomfort with council speaking on behalf of an organization when we're deliberating something like this.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next item and see that we'll go on to the next thing on the agenda, which is the School District 53 policy input request. Mr. Amenko.
Thank you. During the Surrey Secondary School closure process, Council had expressed a willingness to work with the School District 53 to develop stronger local and regional school services. Part of that discussion included taking the initiative to bring local government and School District 53 together in a formal manner to discuss opportunities for partnership and collaboration. Currently, there doesn't appear to be any formal recognition of local government and education services decision-making processes. School District 53 is asking Council and the general community for feedback on their attached policies. The administration has reviewed the policies and is making the following recommendation for Council's consideration. Number 1, Policy A7, Roles and Responsibility of the Board of Education. Governance Style Number 4, to be accountable to its ownership for the accomplishment of its obligations and involve students, parents, staff, and the recommendation is to add local government councils and community members in monitoring current performance and setting future directions. So this would give local government councils a recognition within the monitoring the current performance and setting direction. Number 2, the administration is also recommending consideration of developing 2 additional committees to the school district committee structure that will assist in developing and working relationships between the local government and School District 53. The first is a regional intergovernmental committee, which terms of reference is attached, and also a local intergovernmental committee which is attached. Now, I'll just quickly speak to those particular new policies. Following in the mode of the school district, they have their type of committee as either a liaison or consultation, or either consultative or advisory. And the first one on a regional basis would see the membership being the Board of Education, the superintendent, and a council representative and the CEO from each municipal jurisdiction that has a school within its municipal boundaries, and 1 regional board member from each rural area that has a school in its rural service area. And they would sit down annually to discuss the health of the education system, factors influencing service development of long-term strategic plans for delivery education, factors influencing education funding and delivery of services, opportunities for partnership, and proposed budget and program changes. So that would be at a regional basis as a whole. The second committee would be more localized and would meet with the Board of Education, the board chair, the local members of the Board of Education, superintendent, municipal council, RDOS board member that represents the respective coterminous area, and the CAO, and they would discuss basically the same items at a local level. So just formalizing the opportunity to meet and discuss an important service in our community. So that's the considerations that are being put forward for council considered to pass on to the school board. In terms of implications, the community will benefit when there is formal lines of communication established to discuss present and future school services. Organizationally, the School District 53 and local government councils will have the opportunity to illustrate leadership in collaborative governance to achieve community and school district ends. No budget implications, significant dates. The policy recommendations must be into School District 53 prior to November 25th. 3 options are being presented to Council. 1, Council passes a resolution to forward the attached policy recommendations to School District number 53. 2, Council passes a resolution to forward the attached policy recommendations to School District 53 with some noted changes if you wish to make them today. And 3, Council passes a resolution not to make any recommendations. And the administration is recommending option number 1. Providing these policies will enable Council to follow up on one of its actions to increase communication between School District 53 and local governments in the region.
Thank you very much. This seems to be an issue that we feel is really important, considering the last 8 months that we've gone through with the school problems. The school district did ask for additions to their policies or chatting with them about comments to their policies, and I think that this would be a very good one to send in quickly. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. In light of the year that we just went through, I know that this council had committed to much better communication and much more involvement, and certainly being in the know and being able to make recommendations so that we're not seemingly caught off guard as we were last year. Mm-hmm. So having said that, I'd like to move option number 1.
Thank you. Councillor King, seconding that. Yeah. All in favor? Thank you very much. Yes, I think I'm not surprised that we're all in favor of that. Notice of motion. Are there any notices of motion? No. Next is the council reports. The general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. So it's to report on expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information for council to receive. So the general cash requirements for $1,334,671.94, and the Sun Bowl cash requirements of $14,930.98, and those two would be passed by consensus, but I will speak to one of them. And net payroll accounts of $81,025.50 for for approval. When I asked about the large amount in general cash requirements, I was told that by Mr. Zackel that there were 2 items that made that number go up very, very quickly. One was a $936,000 to Grayback Construction for the fire hall. That was a bill that was just paid. And the other one, $221,000, was for Connex, and they are doing the road work and water and sewer systems at the Richter property. So that's why that amount is very high this month. Okay. So do we need to approve the general Sun Bowl cash requirements and the net payroll? Could we have a motion? Thank you. Councillor Youngberg, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. Bylaw stats. The bylaw stats for the month of October are much calmer than they were earlier in the year. So, which is a good thing. So parks enforcement, there's a few things that you can see on the list there. 1 dogs, 1 hour spent on that. So one file on alcohol, 1 on smoking, 1 on skateboarding, and 1 on camping in the park. So that was a fairly calm month, and there were 44 files in terms of general bylaws. That would be traffic, animal, property, the pound, noise bylaws, the park, and water, business license, boat trailers, and signs. So that was a much calmer month than usual. So do we need to have that accepted? Thank you. Could we have Councillor Campbell, Councillor King?
Can I have a question, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just curious, what's the number from last year compared to this year? With no comparison, I don't know if we're going up or down. I mean, I think it's a great document, but with no comparisons, I have no idea we're doing good or bad. So is there any way we can get some comparisons, maybe next month?
Okay, we can see. I think we've changed the form over the years.
Yes.
So in terms of a comparison, again on a month-to-month basis, it really is. You can't say whether we're going up or down because.
Well, I know
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be simple as putting one more column in here and putting.
Oh, we could do that if we have the
Or
information.
215 and just plunk in the numbers.
Yeah.
It
We
would
can do
be.
that.
Maybe a little bit of.
So perhaps for the month of November, when we bring that up next month, we could have a peek and just see if there was what the
See what we can
comparison
do,
was.
yep.
Thank you very much,
Giving
Councillor
us a
King.
number at the bottom.
Okay, so we've already moved the adoption. Did I not ask for a vote? No. Okay. Could I have a vote on that, please, that we receive it for information? Thank you. Committee reports, no, and so we have a CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the things that the administration has been involved in the last couple of weeks. Starting first in community services, the Leisure Guide will be going to print Monday the 21st. The interior roofing will be starting the roof at the Sonora Center on November 29th or earlier, depending on the weather. They will also be repairing a section of the roof immediately that needs attention due to leaking. The office renovations are complete at the Sonora Center, and staff has been dealing with a leak at the Sun Bowl Arena. It is affecting the figure skating office and part of the new dressing room. Corporate services, they continue to work on a very large Freedom of Information request that's taking up an inordinate amount of time. The municipal tickets, they're managing the ticket disputes and providing documents to court. Unsightly properties are ongoing. There's a couple of properties in town that are getting further attention and may require remedial action through the community charter if there's non-compliance on part of the property owner. In terms of transit, staff met with the new special projects manager for the regional district regarding the transit system. The focus group is meeting on November 28th to further discuss regionalization. In terms of finance, they're preparing for the auditors, as the auditors will be coming in the last week in November to discuss, to conduct interim audit and testing. They've been dealing with 4 Freedom of Information requests, budget preparation, and the October financial statements. Public Works, they installed a new dry well at the south end of Peanut Pond. They've now finished decommissioned and demolition of the structure at well number 2 at Legion Beach, constructed a new sidewalk to the weight room at the Sonora, shut down and winterized all our water fountain and irrigation, repaired flower beds at the town office, and removed seasonal plants and planted 150 Canada tulip bulbs. Installed memorial benches at Cottonwood and Lions Park. Myself, I continue to deal with the fire hall. We're still working on deficiency lists, and so we can't get a date in terms of the passover of the keys. The architect has not done his last kind of walk through, and then there's documentation that needs to be done, and besides, the building inspector's got to issue an occupancy permit. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks that we can address that. The working on budget and business plan preparation. I'm happy to inform Council that the Canal Trail paving is substantially complete and is open to the public. This is providing a fully accessible trail experience from 62nd Avenue to 100th Avenue and to the Casita de Sol and Desert Rose areas. The walkway under the highway has been made totally handicapped accessible. Just a reminder that the Conservation Fund public meeting will be held on Thursday, November 24th at 6:30 at the Community Center.
Thank you very much.
Sonora Center.
Yeah, Sonora. Thank you very much. Could we please have a motion to accept the report? That's Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. All in favor? Thank you. Council reports. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to report I attended the Remembrance Day, again, where it was standing room only, and really want to thank the citizens for their ongoing support of the veterans here, and not only in this country but around the world. DO's Economic Development met a week ago, and they're starting to shortlist their priorities for 2017 and matching it up with their budget moving forward. I'd just like to remind everybody, hopefully you'll see everybody downtown December 2nd, 6 p.m. With the Santa Claus Parade, and different businesses on the street will have hot chocolate, hot dogs and things, so it'll be a great social evening. And one other thing was great to see on Global this morning, Mount Baldy is having a big festival also that weekend, so if you're a skier or you like the snow, head up to Mount Baldy on Saturday the 3rd.
Thank you. Councillor Youngberg.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff, and yes, ditto to Councillor King and Baldy. We're also happy to see Mount Baldy open again, and the great event that they've planned. I understand it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful 14 days, I think they've got it on for. ORL, the original library, Okanagan original library, Connecting Curious Minds is their strategic plan for 2016 going forward to 2019. And we've worked tirelessly at this strategic plan for a year. And so finishing the plans, the consensus is reducing our population by 83 people, Mr. Romanko. So we get a little bit, I think there's a little bit of adjustment in what we pay them. So I'll pass this option one that was presented and accepted at our meeting. So with the strategic plan, they are going to create some objectives, which means working with their local staff a lot more, which helps our library extensively. They're assisting with hands-on all library staff to create more incentives and programs, and one of which was interesting. They're coming out with this program, which I think will be really popular in our area. It's called Literacy Walk, where they skip, they jump, and they walk, and they also read at the same time as they're going through their walk, which is very interesting. And using MOOCs, which maybe Mayor McCordoff is familiar with, which is a free learning software program that is available at our library as well, together with webinars that they're putting together for our library to create more attention. And I did pass everybody out a strategic plan from the library. Learning, creativity, and imagination is an integral part of our community. And our branches are innovative, and of course they would like to reflect our community, so it's a good idea for as many people as possible to get out and share their thoughts with our librarian, so that we can continue to provide great customer service and the learners become much more confident in their lifestyle in their community. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'm going to pass on my report today.
Okay. I have a couple of things that I just wanted to say. I would probably echo what Councillor Youngberg said and encourage everybody to get a library card. That would be the first.
Especially Councillor Campbell.
When you're talking about Mr. Romanko talking about the roof on the Sonora Center, which is being repaired, and the one over at the Sun Bowl Arena as well, the one down at the museum also has some holes in it. We know that already. So the Christmas float for December the 2nd is ready, but I'm waiting until the very last minute to go down and put all the snow on, because this snow is the cotton batten, because I don't want to have it wet. So it may be put on very shortly before the parade. So just want to say a special congratulations to one of our former Mrs. Suyas and a student here, Helen Powers. She has published her first book. It's called Scarlet, and so she's quite pleased, and so is, of course, her family. So just wanted to say congratulations to her. She's in the creative writing department at university, which probably makes sense. On December the 2nd and 3rd, of course, there's all kinds of activities. As a matter of fact, there's lots of activities on in Oliver this weekend. They have Christmas, their light-up ceremonies this weekend, and then ours is the following weekend. So there's lots to do in Oliver, Suyas, and the area. Just want to encourage everybody to go to Smitty's for breakfast on the morning of December the 2nd. If you take in a cash donation or a toy for Tots to Teens, you can have a free breakfast, and Santa will be there to greet you as well. And that's put on by not only Smitty's, who do an excellent job, but a lot of volunteers from the Seroptimists and the Kinsmen, and lots of other volunteers in the town. So come out and enjoy that. There's certainly a lot of things to do. There's a craft fair on December the 3rd down at Legion. There's lots of activities up at Mount Baldy. There's activities in up in Oliver, so nobody can say that they're bored. There's also a movie coming to the South Okanagan, and are they shooting it now? Do you know, Councillor? Yeah, next week. So you may see some famous people wandering around if you keep your eyes open. So that's all that I had to say today, and thank you very much for coming. I hope you have a nice afternoon in the next couple of weeks, and we need a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you.